morning, everyone. I'm Yemurai, and I'm from the Liquid Cloud team. So the Liquid Cloud team is really focused on looking at how, as Liquid, we can improve the way people do business and make them more efficient and productive in the things that they do to drive their businesses forward. And with a focus on technology, we look at solutions and partner with companies such as Microsoft to help drive that. So today I'm just going to talk to you about Microsoft Azure and what it can do for your business, the capabilities it has, and what it's already done for existing customers and how it could probably apply to your organizations. So, as we know, I'm just going to start with talking a bit about how technology has just really changed the way that we do everything in life. From the way we communicate and just socialize between families, staff members, and even the way that we do business. And technology has really been the major drive, even in terms of the way that we deploy IT infrastructure within our businesses. If you recall, years ago, when you were trying to set up any IT infrastructure within your organization, you probably had to do some long-term planning to look at the resources you required, the hardware that you required, and you probably had to ship it over a number of weeks or even up to months, and then still also focus on all that technical capability to actually start setting up your applications that are going to be running your day-to-day operations within your business. So today I'm going to talk about cloud computing and how that's just really changed the way that we provision IT infrastructure within our businesses. So just looking at the facts, right now when we're talking about cloud solutions, which is basically just having your application services that you use in your day-to-day operations being hosted in data centers from another provider. Just looking at the facts, you can see that about 67% of enterprises now actually have their IT infrastructure in the cloud, meaning their servers, their networking, their storage. And as we look further, 83% of companies actually have services that are now residing within the cloud. This is something that's actually accelerated probably within the past 5 years, and we see more and more businesses being comfortable and realizing the benefits of cloud. The reason we're moving to the cloud mainly is because you become more productive within your operations at a cost-efficient manner. And this is the reason why, when we look at the statistics, 80% of companies actually say that they've seen an improvement in their business operations after they've moved to the cloud, which is just a true testimony to how this technology is actually revolutionizing the way that people do business and actually bringing positive effect. And also when we look at our services, service disruptions can really affect our businesses, they can affect our brand. So if you're really sensitive to your business, you're trying to grow it, you're trying to have a positive image, when people think of your brand, they think of a reliable service, having a service outage will really affect that. And moving to the cloud has actually proved that 88% of these service outages can actually be avoided. The 12% remaining is mainly due to things such as the weather, which are really beyond our control. But when you look at everything else like hardware failure or human error, that can really be avoided, or you can find ways to actually mitigate or recover from that when you've moved to the cloud. So I just wanted to share these stats so that you see how others are embracing cloud and why you should move to it as well. So now, as I mentioned, cloud is basically having your computing resources being available on demand over an internet connection, and you can go on a pay-as-you-go basis. So as I mentioned, when you're looking at computing resources, you're looking at your storage, your network, your servers, your databases. And Microsoft Azure is really the cloud computing platform for Microsoft, enabling you to deploy and manage all your computing resources on demand and efficiently and safe from anywhere. So looking at Microsoft Azure's offerings, they offer quite a broad number of services, as you see. We can't actually go through all of them, but maybe you can just pick a few. For example, we're looking at storage and backup. You're able to actually store different types of data, so whether your data is structured or unstructured data, whether it's data that you're using for archiving, for example. I know financial institutions sometimes need to store data for long periods of time, or even if you're just an organization or run a business that stores large amounts of data. The cloud is very flexible to be able to cater for that growing need in terms of storage, as well as just being able to store any types of data on a secure platform. We'll also look at databases where you can actually run very high complex queries. Most of the times when you're running database queries, you require a lot of processing power with the amount of data that we have nowadays. But on a cloud platform, you are able to access these high computing resources that can efficiently and provide you with the fast processing of your data at any point in time, allowing applications that you're running on the internet or web access platforms to provide a better experience for your customers. I'll also just talk about a few solutions, for example, your IoT, Internet of Things. As we know, everything nowadays is very connected. We're using IoT to monitor our car, our health, everything that is becoming very interconnected. And with IoT solutions that are provided by Microsoft Azure, you're actually able to monitor all these services from within the cloud, from one interface, making it very efficient and very secure. Microsoft has put a lot of effort into trying to work with different vendors to ensure that all these solutions are compliant and are highly integratable on the Azure platform. So as I mentioned, Microsoft Azure is really Microsoft allowing you to access on-demand computing resources from wherever you are in the world. And to make sure that you get the best experience in terms of, fast responses to when you're trying to provision services and even just giving a good experience to your customers, Microsoft has deployed numerous data centers strategically positioned around the world. To date, we have 54 regions for Microsoft. And as you can see there, they also have just put up data centers in Africa. They actually are the first cloud service provider to put data centers in Africa. So it also shows how passionate they are in terms of trying to drive Africa forward, which is why Telecom also partnered with them, because we are passionate about Africa and we want Africans to thrive. When you also look at Microsoft Azure, they also have the most regions than any other cloud provider. Meaning, when you move to Microsoft Azure, you're assured at least of the best possible service when it comes to any other cloud provider. Now, in terms of reliability and the performance that I keep talking about, to have your applications being very responsive, the services you're offering to your customers, Microsoft understands that you need these services to always be up. And as I mentioned, downtime should not be something that affects your everyday, day-to-day operations, because we don't want that to affect your company brand, we don't want it to affect your productivity. So they've ensured that their architecture is highly reliant, it has very low latency. So here I'm just trying to show you in terms of redundancy. So for example, as I mentioned, we've got over 54 regions with Microsoft where they host their data centers. And within these regions, you will have what we call availability zones, which is basically 3 data centers that are interlinked and replicating your data between them to ensure that if one data center in that region goes down, you're assured that your service will automatically become available on another data center that's there for you. And in terms of replication, you can also have your data being replicated across regions, meaning you don't need to worry about a major fault going down or one region truly being cut off in terms of internet connectivity. You're assured that your clients, as long as they have an internet connection, they're able to access your services. So it's that provides you high availability as well as low latency, because these data centers are also within a certain distance away from each other to ensure that that performance is there. So just from everything that I've also been talking about and highlighting, I just want to highlight the major reasons why Microsoft Azure should be something you're considering for your business. So let's look at speed. As I mentioned, now you're able to get these computing resources on demand. It's just a matter of going online and purchasing the system, provisioning that server with a few clicks, and you're up and running. So you no longer have to wait and plan for those weeks and worry about the cost, putting upfront costs that you need to put in equipment and computing resources. This means you're able to go to market sooner, you're able to test the market, and because it's on demand and on a pay-as-you-go basis, should you find that whatever solution you've deployed, or if you're testing an application isn't working for you, you're actually able to then either scale down or actually pull it out completely and invest in something else. You're also able to recover from disasters, as I mentioned, faster, because this replication of data across regions and within regions allows you to automatically then be able to recover from a disaster should one data center go down or should one region fail. Let's also look at scale. So the one good thing about cloud computing is that you're able to increase your resources. It's more like you're paying your utility bill, and you're able to increase the amount of usage you need and bring it down again. So this really gives you a lot of agility in terms of how you respond to the demands and the growth of your business. You're able to increase the number of servers if you're running servers, and increase them or replicate the same version of servers to accommodate, for example, increased load or demand on resources. You're also able to scale up and down in terms of the resources. So let's look at computing power. If you need more processing power, you're actually able to increase that either manually or automatically. You have that flexibility. If you need more storage, you're able to scale up or scale down according to your load at that point in time and the needs. You also have a global reach. As I mentioned, 54 regions across the world. So you can basically run your operations from anywhere. You can service customers from anywhere around the world. And then one major thing, cost. As I mentioned, anyone now, even if you're a small business, you now have access to enterprise-grade data centers and services. You no longer have to think about putting upfront money to say, okay, I need a certain data center and applications running. Let me plan for the next 5 years because I'm seeing a growth of 50% or 30%. Now what you can do is you grow as your business grows. That means you're left with more money to save in investing in other things to promote your business. You no longer have to put this huge upfront cost to invest in services that you'll probably only use or resources that you will use within the coming years. As I mentioned, it's a pay-as-you-go service. So whatever resources you've used in terms of computing power, in terms of storage, is all you're billed for. If you're increasing usage this month, you pay a little bit more. If you're using less, it goes down as well. So it's more like paying your utility bill. Then when it comes to compliance, whether it's regulatory bodies, for example, governments at times say there's a certain setup that you need, certain levels of security, certain data residence that you need to meet. Microsoft has really worked with a number of regulatory bodies as well as vendors to ensure that whatever services they're offering on their platform are compliant. So this really helps you set up faster because you no longer have to start catering to all these compliance needs because you're assured that you're actually deploying your resources and applications and services on a platform that's already compliant. So these are just some of the highlights of why you should be moving to Azure and the benefits it brings to your business. I just want to give you some usage scenarios just so that you can have an appreciation of where you can apply the Azure offerings. for example, if we're looking at identity and authorization, Azure offers you what we call Active Directory, which basically enables you to identify whether it's internal staff or users that are accessing certain applications or services within your business. So whether these services are running on-premise or in the cloud, Azure has Active Directory services that are actually able to identify and authorize these users and only give them access to the resources that they're meant to be consuming. And because this is hosted in the cloud, it means regardless of where your employees are, if you're running a business, they will always have access to be authorized over a secure connection and access the resources that they need to continue being productive from wherever they are. Also look at content delivery networks, which is a service that's under Azure Networks. And what content delivery networks service does is, for example, if you're running a website or you're running a video on demand service, if you're providing video on demand or an e-learning platform, for example, you're providing the service globally and you never know how many users you're going to get. And because you also have this wide reach, you want to ensure that whether someone's sitting in Europe, whether someone's sitting in India, wherever they are, they're able to get the best service and best response times in terms of the services that you're offering. So with content delivery, you're actually able to deploy copy instances of your services in different regions where you've got your markets that you're serving. And what this does is it means if I'm in India and I'm trying to access a certain resource that someone in Mauritius is providing, all they can do is actually host that service within that region. And that makes it easier for me to be able to access these resources. It also takes a load off one main server or platform handling all the requests coming in. So this really just gives your customers a better experience as well. Then when we look at data analytics, as we know today, data analytics is something that's really driving businesses. It helps you make better informed decisions because nowadays we collect so much information, and data analytics, what it does is it helps us to make sense of all this information we're collecting, pick up business trends. Are we performing well? Do we need to scale down? Is there a certain market that's doing better? And Azure offers you this service. And because it's in the cloud, it's very highly responsive because there's enough computing power to process any amount of data that you're actually storing. Also, we have artificial intelligence. For those in the financial sector, you can actually use artificial intelligence to, for example, detect fraud, unusual behavior, and actually detect fraud to try and serve your customers better. So those are just some of the examples or use case scenarios where Azure can benefit businesses. But I want to assure you, regardless of what type of business you're running, Azure has a solution for you. Now I just want to talk about the service types. When Microsoft is looking at the services that they offer to various businesses, depending on your needs and depending on the amount of control that you want in the services and platforms that you deploy, Azure offers you 3 deployment services, and that's software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. So I'm just going to take you through these so that you see what they offer you, what type of users would actually use the different types of services on offer. So let's just start off with infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is mainly where we give you the computing architecture and infrastructure. So mainly your storage, your networking, your servers, and the virtualization. Everything in terms of installing the operating system of your choice, and everything in terms of the data, the databases and applications that you're running, you have the capability to manage all that. And this is mainly for systems administrators who have certain systems that they want to run on their own and really manage. And then also let's talk about platform as a service. Platform as a service mainly serves developers because it gives you an environment where you can quickly build applications and you're able to deploy and test them. And as I mentioned before, Nowadays, if you're a developer and trying to come up with, you come up with a great idea for an application, you no longer have to worry about putting upfront costs. You can actually just go into the Azure environment, get the resources you need for that point in time to test your application and see whether it's working or not. And if you're happy with it, you're able to deploy and make that service available and scale up and down according to the market demands. And then we come to software as a service. Software as a service is probably something that we're all using but we actually don't realize. And this is mainly catering to your end user. So you and I and anyone else out there. So for example, with Facebook, or when you go and you open your emails, you're using software as a service. With software as a service, everything is really catered for you. And because it's within the cloud, it gives you access. Normally you'd see companies using either, for example, ERP or CRM applications and softwares that can help you enhance your productivity. I'm going to give you a few examples. But what it really does is it gives you global access. You can access the service from wherever you are. No technical skills are actually required because you're not really managing any platform. All you have to do is just log in through a web browser or a lightweight application and actually start using the platform. So the software is already there for you to use, and it's normally played on a pay-as-you-go basis. So just talking on the software as a service, I just want to highlight that through our partnership with Microsoft as their cloud solution provider, Microsoft has quite a broad range of software as a service applications that they offer that really help you to be more productive within your organizations. So whether you're looking at things like email, whether you're trying to automate internal processes, project management software, data analytics, and a lot more. They really come with kind of like the whole package for you, including ERP and CRM services that enable you to be more productive in your business. And because this is in the cloud, you have anywhere access. So you're actually able to collaborate on documents within your organization and really work from anywhere over a secure platform. Then when it comes to actually the deployment, I just want to take you through the different opportunities and possibilities that you have in terms of deploying your computing resources. So I'm going to start off with the public cloud. When we talk about the public cloud, this is where we're looking at services that I was mentioning before, such as your Facebook, such as your Microsoft Office, and other applications that really help you to just be more productive. The public cloud is normally, it's owned and it's managed by the service provider. So in this case, Microsoft. It's accessible to the public for anyone and anywhere to actually access. It's a shared platform because, for example, with these data centers that Microsoft has globally, it's a shared platform, making it more affordable because you are not having to put that upfront cost, and it's shared with the scaling down and up of different resources being used by people. In terms of consumption, it's all consumption-based, as I mentioned, and then it's globally accessible. And when I was talking about the software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service, it offers you that option to say, what do you want to manage if you're a developer or an end user or a system administrator. And then let's look at the private cloud. Private cloud really caters to someone who wants the data center and computing resources on-prem. Normally this is due to either trying to meet compliance or technical requirements such as latency, or you need to process high amounts of data on-site and then probably upload whatever results you have into the cloud. This is normally owned by a business or organization, and it's for use within that organization. So if you need to meet compliance in terms of storing your data on-site and you can't store it within the cloud, private cloud is an option that you can use. And it's fully managed by you because all the hardware is on-site, meaning you need those technical resources to actually manage everything. So So you're trying to look at which deployment model you should use. Microsoft also offers you the best of both worlds, which is the hybrid cloud. So with the hybrid cloud, you're able to have some workloads on-prem, and then you're able to have some workloads within the cloud. You're also able to burst certain workloads. So for example, if you've got services you're running on-prem, which is your private cloud, and then those become overwhelmed either due to increased usage and people need more resources, you're actually able to burst and have these resources, part of these resources, then accessible from the cloud, thereby decreasing the load on your on-prem platform, which assures your business continuity, because you don't have to worry about your on-prem going completely down. This also helps you transition. So for example, if you're using your hybrid, you're able to transition slowly at a pace of your choice by having certain workloads that maybe you're more uncomfortable with on-prem, and then the ones you're comfortable with in the cloud. And as you grow more comfortable with the cloud, you're able to do that easier migration. So it's really suitable for anyone that really wants to try out the cloud or are trying to meet regulatory and compliance. Now I just want to quickly talk to you about Azure Stack, which is really focused on the private cloud. Azure Stack is a solution that Microsoft offers you that allows you to have the Azure capabilities on-prem. So this means you're actually able to have that scaling and resources and on-demand, but this is actually on-premise for you. And as I mentioned, it still meets all the needs that are mainly there for people who want to store sensitive data, or they're really not comfortable yet with fully moving everything to the cloud. So it gives you all the nice neat features that I talked about, but these will be on-prem. Okay, so I'm sure you can see why cloud is really the way to go. You no longer have to deal with most of these issues that give you downtime on your services. So as I mentioned, only 12% is what you can't control. But with the cloud, the redundancy that I mentioned, and replication across different regions, you're really able to assure your clients and your internal staff that they can be more productive and more efficient, because you never have to worry of things such as downtime. So overall, when we're looking at cloud, what does this mean for you? So firstly, it means you're going to have happy customers, because you've got that global reach and ability to deploy resources nearer to your customers to give them a better experience. You're also on a highly reliable network that is always available to give services to your customers, as well as allowing you to be productive within your organization, because you can basically work from anywhere. You're able to greatly save, because you no longer have to have these huge upfront investments in terms of equipment and other applications and resources that you have to put money out for. You can actually just grow as your business grows and use all that other money that you would have normally invested upfront to pursue other business interests, or to actually try and improve in other aspects of your business. And you also get to focus on what you do best. Remember, with the different types of service types, you get to choose what you manage. You don't need to worry about having highly technical skills, because Microsoft Azure can actually offer that for you. So you choose what you want to manage, and you can have your teams actually focus on being more productive. So I hope this has really been informative for you, and now you have a general idea of what cloud computing is all about and what Microsoft Azure has to offer your business.